My wife walked through the door with a swollen eye and bruises scattered across her face. I froze at the sight. Later that day, I happened to cross paths with my ex. She told me it was just an accident, but I could taste the lie. When I confronted him over the phone, his response was chilling. Yeah, I hit her. And I'll do it again. She belongs to me. I ended the call without a word. Then I made a different call, one that would change everything. By the next morning, he was the one reaching out. His voice, stripped of arrogance, cracked with desperation. I lost everything. What did you do? Who the hell are you? Meanwhile, my wife acted as though nothing had happened. She carried herself into the house with forced composure, as if the purple bruises, the split lip, and the faint handprint on her jaw didn't exist. I stood in the doorway, paralyzed. My body lagged behind my thoughts, my voice hollow. What happened? I finally managed. Her eyes met mine briefly before dropping to the floor. Her words were careful, rehearsed. I bumped into someone. Just an accident. But the truth was thick in the air. I didn't press. Not yet. I watched her move into the kitchen, every step measured, deliberate. That night, while she slept, I stared at the ceiling. Her breathing was shallow, restless, as though she knew my thoughts. And I knew this much: it wasn't an accident. Someone had laid hands on her, and she wanted me to believe it was chance. The following day, I saw him, my ex, her ex too, leaning against a car in the parking lot, cigarette between his fingers, smirk curling across his lips. That smirk told me everything. I dialed his number, my hands steady despite the storm inside me. He picked up on the second ring. I hit her, he said without hesitation. His voice was calm, smug, laced with venom. And I'll do it again. She's mine. I could hear traffic in the background, the world moving on, uncaring, while mine froze solid. The rage didn't erupt. It crystallized into clarity. I hung up. Later, my wife studied my face, searching for signs of what I knew. She never asked if I had spoken to him. That silence told me everything. She hadn't just been attacked, she had gone back to him. I began gathering evidence quietly, phone logs, her location history, small bank withdrawals that formed a pattern. Each breadcrumb pointed back to him. Her silence was no longer fear. It was loyalty. At dinner, she smiled and asked about my day, though her hands shook against her fork. I mirrored her smile, asking about hers. Her lies slid easily off her tongue, and I let them. I measured time now, not in hours but in steps, in the intervals between their meetings. I didn't confront, didn't accuse. I honed my mind into a weapon instead. The final proof came through her own carelessness. She left her phone unlocked in the bathroom, almost as if some part of her wanted me to see. I read every message in silence. Every word of affection. Every plan. Every betrayal. Then I saw her confession to him. He's weak. You're the only man who can control me. I kept scrolling until I reached a photo. Her bruised face, smiling, captioned just for him. He believed me. I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I simply returned the phone to where she had left it. Later, in the living room, I asked one question. Why him? She froze, eyes flashing panic before she masked it with anger, denial, fear. I don't know what you mean. I said nothing more. I didn't need her answer. I already had it. That night, I made a call. Not to the police. Not to friends. To someone who owed me. I didn't ask for violence or blood. I asked for erasure. His accounts, his credit, his job, his reputation gone. By morning, he was the one begging. What did you do? My accounts are frozen. My boss fired me. My landlord kicked me out. Who the hell are you? I listened. His panic was music, his collapse a masterpiece. I gave no answer. Silence consumed him, the same way he tried to consume me. When I hung up, I walked into the kitchen. My wife stood there with a cup of coffee, her face pale. She had heard the call. Her lips parted to speak, but I looked at her, calm, steady, cold, and she understood. I wasn't the weak man she thought I was. That night, I packed her suitcase and set it by the door. For the first time, she cried, not for me, but for herself. I didn't yell, didn't argue. I just said one word. Leave. And she did. No excuses, no pleas. only silence trailing behind her footsteps. I poured myself a drink and sat alone in the quiet house. Strangely, there was no pain, only clarity. She had chosen him. He had lost everything. And me? I had reclaimed myself. I realized then. Strength doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't roar. It waits, sharp and patient, and cuts only when the time is right. I drained the glass, looked at the empty doorway, and whispered the truth neither of them had ever known. They never truly knew who I was.